drop the kratom and instead use this. Look, I did a video called dire warning about kratom long time ago that got a substantial amount of attention, wherein 85+% of the people agreed and said kratom is terrible. I had a whole list of comments of people that are like, yeah, I got off kratom and it's been the best thing ever. Wasn't without its troubles, but thank you so much for posting this because the warnings you gave about it aligned completely with my experience. And I just had a recent comment about switching from kratom or getting off kratom into some of the compounds that we typically talk about, and that's kind of the topic of this video. I think there are two things, really three things, but two primary things that you should be doing instead of taking kratom. So drop the kratom and use what I'm about to talk about instead. Okay, so quickly, the Black Friday specials are over, but I made new specials for Cyber Monday. So here's a quick 30-second clip of the new specials. All right, look, Cyber Week is the hugest week for e-commerce, so please go buy some product, use the discount codes. It supports the company, it would help us tremendously, and you're getting cheap, good product. So first, I did a video about 8 months ago called Kratom, a dire warning, chemical castration. Okay, it's right here on the left, that's your boy. Opioids themselves, and especially binding to those receptors, are well known to raise serum prolactin levels. Well, I think the most important part is the comment section of that video. Great info. I wish I knew this before starting kratom years ago. Now I'm in the process of getting off. It's bad stuff. Now here's something I didn't really know. This guy goes, I don't know if it affected my sperm count at all, but I can confirm that it gave me prostate problems. Another comment. Now this is like for folks to take heed. I suffer with kratom addiction for 4.5 years and I'm now on day 51 of cessation. I'm feeling nearly identical. The second case study you mentioned in your video with strong sexual muting and nearly zero response to porn or my wife. This is the kind of stuff that blocking dopamine receptors and increasing prolactin does to you. Last comment I'll read quickly. I have completely muted sexual function since quitting over 5 months ago, 5-year habit. I just got my PRL or prolactin test back today showing 2.8, which is a low range. This is good. Prolactin is back in range. He goes, having wicked insomnia and no sexual response to any stimulus. And if you want more validation that kratom is a terrible compound and you should not take it, just go visit Quitting Kratom on Reddit, okay? It's 40,000 fucking people in there talking about their terrible experiences on it, their terrible experiences quitting it, and how they wish they never touched the stuff to begin with. 40,000. Anyway, what prompted this video is a comment by Maverick1109 that goes, I took 100 milligrams of bromantane every day for 2 months running during lockdown. Bromantane got me off kratom. He goes, definitely hard to sleep on it. True. And it did make me very edgy and I had a lot of problems remaining still. It actually helped me with anxiety. It got me off kratom though. I will always be thankful for that. And this is bromantane. This is a dopamine synthesizing actoprotector, basically a synthetic adaptogen nootropic compound. What that comment was about was a person that instead of using kratom switched to a much less nefarious, actually actoprotective, synthetic adaptogen, highly effective for dopamine synthesis nootropic compound called bromantane, which gave him energy, obviously gives you more dopamine synthesis, kind of protects your body from stress, from physical stress and cognitive stress so that you endure through it and function better. And that's just one nootropic of the 50 that we typically talk about. So the first thing to bring in instead of kratom is not necessarily bromantane, but it's nootropics in general. Right? If you want to kick a kratom habit or you want to function in a way which, makes you perform better, feel good, function better cognitively, have a good mood and be in a great place, you can achieve all of these things with a variety of nootropics that we typically talk about. The first major thing, instead of kratom that you should be taking if you're an onlooker looking to start kratom, or maybe you just started kratom or you want to get off kratom, is nootropics. And there are a lot of them. I mean, you would want to be doing the reverse of what kratom is doing, essentially. You don't want to be blocking the D2 dopamine receptors. You want to be, making more dopamine and enhancing that system. Chemicals like bromantane, like 9-methyl beta carboline, even like mucuna purines are way better, compounds that could replace kratom. I mean, as I said recently on a video, one of the most powerful combinations is acetyl L-carnitine and a multivitamin multimineral. Far underrated. Like the RDA for iodine alone is pretty critical for cognitive function. Not to mention pantothenic acid, thiamine, pyridoxine or B6, obviously B12. We've done a lot of content on modafinil. Yeah, modafinil is a prescription compound and it's very strong, but it's very effective and it really doesn't come with many long-term side effects. And that stuff will keep you awake and functional and motivated and engaged and verbally fluent and in for between 6 and 10 hours. In my personal opinion, even though modafinil is a pretty hard compound, modafinil any day over kratom. Let's talk about the second thing that you should do instead of using kratom. The second thing, in addition to nootropics, would be testosterone replacement therapy. Look, TRT is a nootropic in and of itself. Since I started TRT, there's certain nootropic compounds that, especially in the evening, I just don't need to take. My brain is still energized at 6, 7 p.m. I have a lot of cognitive endurance to muscle through stuff that I don't know, ordinarily or prior when my testosterone wasn't stable high, I would have to take nootropics in order to get my brain to function really well. You're going to synthesize more dopamine. You're going to release more dopamine. You're going to sensitize serotonin receptors via the little bit more, hopefully not a lot more, estrogen that you're going to be making while you're on TRT. But generally, your energy is going to be primed. Your motivation is going to be primed. Your will to do things in life is going to be primed. Your interest in things is going to be primed. And if your protocol's right, your libido is going to be primed as well, which again is the complete opposite of what kratom ultimately does to people. I mean, kratom via blocking the D2 receptors and basically increasing prolactin, which is if anything, sinister to your dick as well as your sex hormones, it's prolactin and thus kratom. With TRT, you're doing the absolute opposite of these things. Now, I know what some of you may be thinking, okay, well, kratom, essentially reduces pain and might reduce anxiety. Guess what? There are nootropics for that too. If you need to work on the GABAergic system, but without agonizing the opioid receptors, which is what kratom does, and therefore, again, blocking dopamine's action on inhibiting prolactin, you end up with this sky-high prolactin, then work on the GABAergic system with compounds like theanine or picamilin. There's chemicals like lemon balm, which inhibit GABA transaminase, which is an enzyme that breaks GABA down. So when you take lemon balm, you actually end up with more GABA, elevated GABA. So these are the kind of compounds that, if you're trying to relax or get alleviation from some pain, you just should be taking targeted GABAergics, not opioid receptor agonists like kratom. You could even go further into that. It's 3 things, as I said in the beginning: nootropics, TRT, and peptides. There are plenty of peptides that will give you incredible cognitive function and make you feel good and even improve sexual performance that are far better and come with less side effects, if any, than kratom. You could use kisspeptin, which will make you make more testosterone from the hypothalamus pituitary perspective. You could use growth hormone receptor agonists or growth hormone secretagogues. There's reparative peptides like body protective compound or BPC 157, which in recent literature and a recent breakdown that I did actually has the ability to repair neurological function. These are the things that instead of kratom, you should definitely be taking. So who am I trying to reach? I don't know, people that are on kratom and trying to get off. Hopefully you can take some of this advice. If I were you, I'd get on TRT. I'd start taking the right targeted nootropics. You have to play around the doses to find what works for you. That is a journey worth undergoing. Yes, get on TRT. TRT is a performance enhancing drug, if you will. It's testosterone, dude. And as you age, man, your test levels are just dropping and dropping and dropping. Especially if you're on kratom, there's zero way that you've got adequate levels of test. You might be in range, but I guarantee it's low. It's neuroendocrine science. You are inhibiting pulsatile luteinizing hormone release when you use kratom. TRT, it's it revitalizes everything. It gives you more dopamine synthesis, more dopamine release. It makes you energized. It gives you generally more of that mental and physical endurance throughout the day. You have a purpose as a man. Not to mention the hormone in and of itself makes you very like a man would be. Purpose-driven in life, focused on goals. So I gave you some nootropic ideas, but who knows which nootropics are right for you, whether it's 9-MeO-BC or modafinil or a combination of switching between those throughout the course of a week. Maybe it's bromantane, maybe it's acetyl L-carnitine and a multivitamin multimineral together as a combination. Maybe it's some of the cholinergics, which will help brain function, focus, motivation, verbal fluency, like Noopapt, like all of the racetams. Maybe it's phenylpiracetam hydrazide, which is a powerful dopamine release agent. Maybe it's a combination of targeted nootropics that are good for you that you figured out the doses on and testosterone replacement therapy. But I can guarantee you this, there is not a 40K strong Reddit group of people trying to quit nootropics or people trying to quit testosterone replacement therapy. You're going to generally, not that there aren't negative experiences on both, because there certainly are, but far, far less, with far, far less side effects and far, far less of this crazy withdrawal stuff. I mean, just talking about nefarious compound that, raises prolactin and mutes your sexual function eventually and is very addictive. That's KRATOM. And then you got neurologically enhancing actoprotector, synthetic adaptogens, chemicals that positively modify or modulate receptor sites in your brain to make acetylcholine signal better, among other neurotransmitters. You got dopamine release agents, dopamine restoration chemicals, and with TRT, like revitalizing the hormone that makes you a man and will absolutely positively change your life in more ways than I can count. All right, so yeah, even though it's like 2, it's really 3. Drop the KRATOM and use nootropics, TRT, and peptides. Those of us that have been in this game for a long time, I don't have any withdrawal symptoms. I don't have any, I feel like a fucking beast from the moment I wake up at 6 a.m. Then I go to the gym and kill it and work, all up until about 9-10 p.m. until the moment I fall asleep, which is between 10:30 and 11. Look, as I said in the beginning, we've got Cyber Week specials for the whole week. So today's Cyber Monday, and this is the biggest week for e-commerce. So I really need you guys to go get some product. You get epic products cheap. I made a 30-second clip to explain what the discounts are at livecortex.com, both on nootropics, on coaching, on courses. So go use those codes. All right. I want to have a crazy good e-commerce week for Cyber Week. That is exactly what it's for. It's for internet purchases. I've given you all you need. Codes are in the description of this video. Now fight.